Welcome back to Oulton Park. We're ready for round 2 of the Ginetta Challenge. Cars making their way round to the grid, and the man on pole position is Mark Davies. The grid based on the driver's second best qualifying time. That means that he, for the second time today, is on pole, and he's got Mike Robinson lining up alongside him. Davies won race 1, Robinson third in the first race of the day. The second row, Clive Richards, runner-up earlier on, and Richard Syke will line up alongside him. Philip House on the third row alongside Sean Highton. It's the full international circuit in use at Oulton Park this weekend, so it's time to go racing for the second round of the Ginetta Challenge. Davies in the darker blue Optima Motorsport run car bolts away from pole. Good start, and he's going to lead the way down towards Old Hall Corner. Not quite a good a start this time from Mike Robinson. He's going backwards, looking the pale blue livery. So round the outside of all of them goes Richard Sykes, who tries to get his nose in front going into Old Hall, but he's going to run a bit wider if he's not careful. Davies leads the way. Clive Richards will duck up the inside and go second, and Sean Highton is third. Sykes quick into Old Hall, but he's dropping back as they drop down towards Cascades now. On board with Highton through the left-hander at Cascades, and now onto Lakeside Straight for the first time. Ahead of him is Clive Richards, but it's Mark Davies who leads the way. Spots of rain in the air as well for this second race. Wiper on there for Highton. Fourth and fifth overlap there. Round the outside of Sykes goes Robinson, making up for his bad start. Then Phil House is next, and 34, having retired from race 1. Rory Bryant tucked up behind him. On board with Ryan Ratcliffe as he goes through the Shell Oils corner here. Ratcliffe raced well earlier on in the day, then had a spin and fell down the pack. What can he do in race number 2 of the weekend? Matt Flowers goes through, leading the G20s ahead of 19 Harvey Booth there in the yellow car. Working their way now through Britons, and then over hilltop down towards Hislops. Booth hard at work, you saw the car getting a bit crossed up, and Phil House has got a problem, look! Suddenly the black and green car at the top of the screen slows right down, coming over hilltop, and Phil House looks like he's about to retire. He's about to become an outhouse, I think, because he's not going much further in the race now. The car getting slower and slower, and Phil realises that he's becoming a danger by being on the track. He's going to have to give up the unequal struggle. He peels onto the grass, he's going to have to park it. Big disappointment then for Phil House. He's out on the opening lap of the second round of the championship. The leading 3 turn their way now through Druids. Sean Highton on the back of the 2 leaders. And it's Mark Davies ahead of Clive Richards then as they dive down towards Lodge. Everybody else filing their way through Druids. There's House then. A very short-lived second round of the championship for him. The car having parked on the run down towards Hislops. He put it out of harm's way, but he's going no further, I'm afraid. Ryan Ratcliffe turning his way into Lodge. Side by side there, look, Harvey Booth coming under pressure. The G40s powering their way through. The G40s running on a slick racing tyre. The G20s run on a treaded tyre, and if it becomes much wetter, because we still have these spots of rain in the air, then the G20s may well come into their own and be a real threat for outright honours. Gary Sims there in the background, looking the white-fronted car after he's off in qualifying, trying to work his way up the pecking order. Kevin Begley just fending him off at the moment in the white G40. Sims, though, has got a bit of work to do here to try and do the double. He won race 1 in the G20s. At the moment, he's a long way back within the G20 fight. He's going to work his way towards the front and try and make up some of that lost time. You can see the wipers on occasionally on the leading G40s as they just wash away these spits and spots of rain. On board with Highton. He's up into second place now, and he's going after Mark Davies. Out of Shell. Speed build, grab a gear. More rain on the windscreen. Davies leading the way. Clive Richards then having dropped back into third place. Mike Robinson is fourth, but Sean Highton really charging through the field. He's made a very good first couple of laps here, and he's right on the back of the race leader, and Davies feeling the pressure now. Something he didn't have to worry about in race 1. Highton challenging on the outside as they come down towards Hislops. He's going to have to be careful if the road is getting greasy, but he's level with Davies. He's ahead of Davies. He's past him. Great move coming down towards Hislops. Sean Highton round the outside. He's sideways as well, but he's in the race lead. And 52, the black car of Sean Highton, then picks up the advantage. Mark Davies drops to second. Sean Highton round the outside into the lead and now tries to power away. Davies in the meantime is under pressure from Clive Richards. It's 3 for the lead as they go past the water tower up towards Druids. Scrap that because the leader straight away is pulling away. It's 3 for second now. Highton, already having worked his way past Davies, is building an advantage. So now Mark Davies is under pressure for second spot from Clive Richards, who's taking Mike Robinson with him. Richard Sykes in the background, having made that really good start, lost out on the run out of Old Hall Corner. He's trying to play catch up as well. Leaders then out of Deer Leap, and on his own is the new leader, Sean Highton. What a move though, round the outside, and you can see the car speed he's got straight away, pulling away from the rest of them. Within the G20s, there's Gary Sims, and he's working his way closer to the front of the class now. Matt Flowers is ahead of him. Gary Sims then working his way closer and closer to his class opposition. He's also managed to sort out 1 or 2 of the G40s. Matt Flowers then, who was quick in the G20s last year, turns his way through Lodge. Sims, pretty experienced in these cars now, powering his way out of Dearly over the timing line. Somebody's had a big moment there. That's Mark Davies by the look of it. Mark Davies, who was second, has gone off at Island Bend. Let's have a look at what happened. Clive Richards on the inside, Mark Davies on the outside. Do they touch? Well, either way, Davies runs out of road. He gets on the slippery grass, and from this point on, he is history. The car bounces across the grass into the barrier. Crunch! Big damage on the front of the car, and Davies is going nowhere. It's not just bodywork that's damaged. You can see all the steam and smoke from the hoses that are ripped off the car. And in a way, this is what we saw 2 years ago. Not quite win or bust, but Mark Davies, having dominated one race, has problems in the second. We've got a change for the class lead in the G20s there. Sims round the outside of Flowers, and Gary Sims picks up the lead now. Bearing in mind he had quite a bit of catching to do. It's been a good drive, this. He's done the catching, he's done the passing. Now can he pull away? Well, Mark Davies then out of the race with that front damage done to the car. As I say, 2 years ago, didn't happen in every meeting, but quite often he'd have a win in one and problems in the other, and the pattern has struck once again. It may or may not have been his fault, because he and Clive Richards were very close indeed going through Island Bend, but the net result is that Richards is still going, Mark Davies is not. Down towards Lodge Corner. Gary Sims then has still got Matt Flowers for company, and Flowers looking for a way back ahead of him if he can. The two of them still pretty much tied together as they come out of Dearleap and over the line now. Gary Sims, as I say, trying to do the double. Well, Mark Davies won't within the G40s, but can Gary Sims do the double in the G20 class? Out of Old Hall Corner, Matt Flowers trying to stay with him. Now they make the drop down towards Cascades, as up front there, Sean Heighton leads the way, and it looks as though we're going to have the same second and third on the podium as we did in race one, but Sean Heighton fourth earlier on in the day. He did get the best lap of race one, incidentally, to set a lap record in these cars. And now he leads comfortably race two. Having built the lead, he's just going to make sure he keeps out of trouble now. That little bit of rain that we had early on in the race is now long gone, thankfully, so the track is drying and it's getting quicker once more. Heighton is at Druids, chased by Richards, chased by Robinson. Clive Richards with a very long career in motor racing, stretching back to the 1980s. More recently, he has been successful in Caterhams, came across into Ginetta G50s a few seasons back, didn't get on with the cars straight away, but really has gone well this weekend in the G40s, and he does know, given his track record, he's going to be there or thereabouts scoring points. But scoring a win is Sean Heighton. He comes over the line to take the checkered flag to win round two of the Ginetta Challenge. Clive Richards 2 second places here this weekend, and Mike Robinson 2 thirds. Battle on at Lodge Corner. Bryant just there ahead of 22. That's Mike Steadman who gets it wrong. Clips Ryan Ratcliffe's car and spins himself out of contention. That means that Rory Bryant bags 5th and Ryan Ratcliffe 6th as they come across the line, and Mike Steadman has got to sort himself out. Now Gary Sims has got a problem, look. Right up behind him is Matt Flowers. They turn their way now out of Druids down towards Lodge Corner. And Gary Sims, who had a pretty comfortable lead a lap or two back, has lost all of the time on this last lap of the race. He's got Flowers going one side and then the other, heading down towards Lodge Corner. Gary Sims having to make that car unfeasibly wide, and he's just about done it. Can he hang on to the win, though? They've got a corner to go out of Dearleap. He's still trying to defend, and Gary Sims just does it. There's a bit of weaving around there, but he comes out on top, but only just. Gary Sims, the winner of the G20 class by just over a 1/10 of a second. And it sounded as though that car may have ended up being stuck in gear. A gearbox problem certainly for Gary Sims. That cost him all the time, but he comes out a winner ahead of Flowers and Harvey Booth in the G20s. Overall, though, Sean Heighton scores a maiden G40 win ahead of Clive Richards, and Mike Robinson rounds out the top three.